information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com. Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to another episode of This Week in Marketing by the AMA San Diego chapter. I'm your host, Sam Wheeler. In the studio with me today, we have Kevin Speck, my co-host.
Hello.
And hey, Kevin. And on the phone, we have Larisa Hall of Tap Fever Studios here in San Diego. Larisa, can you hear us okay?
Yes. Good morning. It's actually Larisa.
Ooh, Larisa. Sorry about that. Larisa.
No problem.
Larisa Hall of Tap Fever Studios. We'll be talking about Tap Fever in a second, but I have a few announcements first. First up, Art of Marketing is a conference that San Diego American Marketing Association chapter throws every year. It's April 5th, 2019 at the Marriott Del Mar. It's going to have several different tracks from digital to print, I think, to branding and imagery. And there's going to be a ton of talks from a ton of different great speakers. Sony is going to be having a headline there and a bunch of other really awesome brands. So definitely check it out if you are in the neighborhood on April 5th. It's an all-day event. I think tickets are $149 for AMA members and $249 for non-AMA members, and they will be going up a week before the event. So get your tickets now. And we also have a Hispanic Marketing SIG on February 13th from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. for those of you interested in the Spanish market. So those are your morning announcements. Larisa, nice to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to start I wanted to start the show talking a little bit about your background and about Tap Fever Studios and kind of your, how you've got to, grow this pretty cool dance studio. And then we'll kind of dive into some more local aspects of local marketing, because we're continuing our local marketing series here today. With another episode here. So, Larisa, do you mind giving us and the listeners a quick background?
Sure. Yeah. My background is actually in TV production. I worked at various stations for many years, but I've always danced my entire life since kindergarten. And even, working at the TV stations, I would teach on the side a couple of classes a week. And I just really, really had a strong desire to have more tap in San Diego. So I'd been thinking about it for so long, and finally one day I just decided to take the plunge and open a dance studio. And we just had our 10-year anniversary this past April.
Wow, congrats. 10 years. Wow.
10 years.
So what does Tap Fever Studios, what do you guys, is it only tap dancing? What's kind of the what are your main styles of dance?
Right. So it's called Tap Fever because we have a lot of tap, but it's not just tap. Ballet, contemporary, hip-hop, jazz, and we do cardio classes. We have a dancer, flow yoga, and all of the other programs are exceptional as well. Even our ballet program is really, really good. We dancers like to call ballet their dance veggies because it's important for all styles of dance to have ballet basics. It really helps with everything. So, we understand the importance of all the different styles. We just happen to have a focus more so on tap. There's a lot of studios that specialize in certain things, but they still, see the value in the other styles, so offer those as well. So that's what we do.
Okay.
But something that makes us a little bit different is we're completely nonprofit. We're 501c3. We have a lot of programs for dancers with disabilities. We have scholarships. We provide fee waivers for people that need it. We have programs for like a teen mentoring program, so they assist with classes. We do community outreach, performing at senior homes. We just recently partnered with the USO and are starting to do different programs with them as well.
Awesome. Cool. That is a very interesting business model for sure. I'm wondering, how did you kind of decide to get into that nonprofit route? And how did you decide to get into the nonprofit route? And then what are some of the, marketing methods that have come with it over the years?
When I was born, my feet were severely clubbed. So when I was a baby, I had casts on my legs for, I think it was 9 months or something like that. And then I had to wear a brace after the casts were off. I had to wear a brace on my legs when I slept to keep my feet turned out. And, the doctors weren't really sure how well I would walk. But, and I had a lot of pain actually in my ankles growing up, especially through elementary school. And the doctors recommended taking dance classes. So when I was in kindergarten, my parents put me in ballet and tap and jazz, and I loved it. So, ever since then, I stuck with it ever since then. But, it really did, especially the ballet, with turning your feet out and, focusing on doing that and really working on the turnout aspect really helped me. So now I actually walk straight, whereas when I was a kid, even though I had the casts and everything when I was a baby, I still walked pigeon-toed. But so for me, I loved dancing, but it also helped me. So, just growing up, I just kind of saw more and more of that along the way. And having my own studio, I just wanted to be able to provide opportunities for everybody, no matter what hurdles they felt they might have. I just wanted to be able to provide opportunities for anybody who was even remotely interested in trying dance. So that's what we do.
Awesome. That's a really great background there. Now, in regards to kind of like the local aspect of your studio, how do you sort of find clients to come and take lessons? And from like the nonprofit side, is there a difference in the way that you kind of bring in new clients or new dancers?
When new people come to the studio, that is something that we ask them through our registration form, because everybody has to fill out a form, so we can get them in the database and have all their info. And we ask, how did you find us? And the top 3 ways are, either an online search, through a referral from a friend, or driving by, they saw our signage in the window. So those are the 3 main ways. And I would say, I don't really have the figures like what percentage of each way, which is the top way, but it seems like most people look online.
Yeah,
when they're interested in an activity, they'll look online to try to see what's in the area near them.
Totally. I really like how you guys asked where did you find us? That's kind of like a super simple question, obviously, but, it's much different talking to somebody face to face and having them tell you how they found you rather than, some sort of form online or something that they may not fill out correctly. So that's really interesting. Definitely a really good tip there. Do you have, I want to talk a little bit about partnerships here. We have about 2 minutes left in this segment, but, when you first started the studio, what was kind of some of the biggest challenges from like a business running either marketing the business or running kind of like a small business here in San Diego? What were kind of some of your biggest challenges? And have there been any marketing efforts that you've seen like really work over the years? And kind of a follow-up to that, have there been any that just like haven't worked at all?
I would definitely say that marketing is the biggest challenge of everything else. So I pretty much, as the founder and the director of the studio, I wear all the hats. So, there's teachers that help to teach the classes of the studios, but they're independent contractors, and they don't focus on the day-to-day stuff. They help to market and promote by, through social media, on their own accounts. But, yeah, marketing is tough. And especially starting out, starting a new business, you try things, see if this works, that, things work and don't work, and you try new things. But, that was just the hardest thing. And not only that, but as time goes by and as your business grows, it changes a lot. When I first opened the dance studio, I had all these ideas in mind, and 10 years later, gosh, so many things have changed, for the better, because one of the most important things is I try to encourage people to give me feedback, because I want to know, even if there's a problem, if they love it, then great. Then I want that feedback too, so I can continue doing more things that make people happy. But the negative feedback is super important too, because, I don't know there's a problem unless somebody tells me. And if there is a problem, I want to do my best to try to fix it and to make things better. I mean, that's the only way you're going to grow.
Totally.
So,
the
feedback is so important. So customer retention phone calls are really important.
Yeah, I love that. The customer feedback. And it's interesting too, because, you'd think that's sort of kind of to improve operations of the business, but it can also help improve kind of your marketing, the way that you communicate your messaging to people as well. So that the feedback tip is really strong. We have to take a break here, and we'll be back shortly. This is This Week in Marketing on AMA San Diego, WSRadio.com. Thank you.
A podcast or radio show on WS Radio is a great way to create content marketing. Turn prospects into customers into raving fans. Contact Wade at WSRadio.com or call 866-WS-RADIO.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, CEO and founder of VinVillage.com and the Wine and Dine Show on Vin Village Radio. Do you have a wine, event, product, or service to promote? Then contact VinVillage.com to reach thousands of wine lovers across the country. VinVillage connects like-minded wine enthusiasts with unique and exclusive wines, events, products, and services. To learn more, contact us on VinVillage.com. VinVillage is where wine lovers connect.
I raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
One person has the power to change the world, impact millions of lives, and leave a legacy for lifetimes to come. That person is you. In the New York Times bestseller, What is Your What? Steve Olsher, award-winning author and founder of the Reinvention Workshop, reveals his proven process that has helped thousands of men and women discover, share, and monetize the one thing they were born to do. Grab your free copy now at www.whatisyourwhat.com/free. That's www.whatisyourwhat.com/free.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
You take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple, and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com, on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to This Week in Marketing. I'm your host, Sam Wheeler, and in the studio today, Kevin Speck, my co-host.
Hello.
And we also have Larisa Hall, the executive director of Tap Fever Studios, a dance studio here in San Diego. Larisa, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Awesome. So we had a really kind of cool discussion towards the end of the first segment here about feedback, and I wanted to kind of ask one follow-up question to that. When you talk about customer retention calls, do you reach out to them and say, hey, I want to call you and talk about feedback? Or is it like a form that people fill out? What's kind of like your kind of style for collecting that data and that research?
It's a phone call normally. Most people don't like checking their emails anymore. I personally, I get so many emails in a day. Even something that is important can easily get buried in there. So I feel like it's really important to actually reach out and speak to somebody. So I try to call them when I can. And usually I go through my database and find the people that we haven't seen at the dance studio in a while. And I just call them up and I say, hey, how are you doing? Haven't seen you at the studio for a while. Are you still interested in dance classes? Is there any feedback you can give me? And a lot of times, if somebody has left the studio, they don't say why. They just leave. Sometimes it's because they moved out of the area. So sometimes it's nothing negative at all. But sometimes there was an issue, and we'd never know about it if we didn't make the effort to ask. So it has made a difference in many instances, actually making that phone call. And people have actually told me that they appreciate that I took the time to talk to them, because it's important to me. I want anybody that comes to the studio, I want them to have a great experience. I want them to enjoy their time at the studio. I want them to feel like they got a quality dance class. So it is important to me that they're happy. So I feel like making that phone call and talking to them in person shows that. It reflects that.
Totally. I love that. And and there's a lot of small business tools out there that can do these types of like personalized emails or, automated phone calls or something like that. But, I really think, especially with the smaller business.
Yeah, nothing really takes the place of an actual human being.
Exactly. Especially
having an actual conversation.
Yeah, especially somebody that is, that they interact with on a daily, or they interact with every time they go into the physical brick and mortar area. So that's a really good piece of advice. The next thing that I wanted to kind of touch on here is like kind of the power of partnerships. You mentioned that you had a few partners that you've like partnered up with for classes or throughout the years. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that and kind of, how/why did you decide to like go into the partnership route? And, how has that kind of helped, support the community around you and then also, your business as well?
There's many organizations that kind of mirror what our mission is. And it can only be beneficial to connect with them and see if there's anything that we could work on together. There's so many different organizations. There's tons of other dance studios. I'm not trying to compete with all these other dance studios. I'm not going to try to steal students from other dance studios. It's not going to work that way. The only thing, the saying, if you can't beat them, join them. I'm not trying to beat them, but obviously I want my organization to be successful as well, to reach as many people as I can. But I think that, joining together to kind of support each other is what's going to make it better.
Totally.
Sometimes, there might be somebody who's interested in salsa, and my dance studio, we don't have an ongoing salsa class, but I can recommend somebody else that does. So I want to be supportive of other people as well. But as far as partnerships that we've created, with the programs that we have for dancers with disabilities, for example, I don't know all of the people in the area. I don't know who to personally reach out to and say, hey, we offer this class, come to the studio. So one of the earlier partnerships that we had was with the Braille Institute. So we had reached out to them. I don't remember if they reached out to us or we called them. Whichever way it was, we organized a dance class with them, and they brought a group of kids over every week, and we did a dance class. And even though some of them were completely blind, some of them just couldn't see well. So I was just more descriptive with what movements we were doing, which part of your foot you were using, what part of the shoe, and it worked out great. And they actually performed in a couple of our shows, and they loved it. And since then, we've expanded and tried to just really reach out to as many different local organizations as we could, just to see if they're interested in dancing. And right now, I think we have 4 ongoing weekly classes that are all with different organizations that we've partnered with.
Okay, great. I love that. And what are kind of some tips? I guess maybe before we get into tips, a better question is, how can a business or organization get involved with a cause in their neighborhood, and especially in a way where it's not like tacky or specifically to grow their own business, to kind of support the cause around them? What are kind of some tips you have for those type of making sure people create meaningful partnerships?
Sometimes businesses will partner with an organization for that reason, just to kind of grow their own business. But I kind of feel like regardless of what the motive is, at the end of the day, they're still helping another organization. So, that's the important part of it. But either way, I mean, probably the most important part is just to find something that aligns with what your mission is. So, I mean, our mission, we have programs for people, we have classes for people with and without disabilities. And, we want to inspire the dancers to do anything that they want to do. So when we find other organizations that have a similar mission, then it's kind of a no-brainer to see if there's ways that we can work together.
Okay, great. Yeah, I love that. And then when you do, let's say you do connect with somebody, what are some important questions or some important, I don't want to say tips for reaching out to them, but, to make sure that you're building a strong foundation with a group rather than just, saying, hey, come in for a one-time thing, blah, blah, blah. How do you kind of build that sustainable long-term partnership?
Communication, making sure that both sides are getting something out of it that is beneficial for everybody, that there's some way that the clients are benefiting. Our newest partnership is with the USO. We're working on different events that we're going to be doing with them. One of them, which we haven't done yet, but we're working on setting up a date, is the USO that's downtown. We're going to send some of our dancers from our dance team to do a performance at the USO while the families are they do a weekly dinner. And then we're also going to help serve desserts. Our dancers are going to help serve the food. So for us, the dancers see all these military families that, are coming together and, meeting up so they can have a nice meal together and support each other. And they're reaching out to the community and seeing, how they are helping and inspiring and making people happy by, performing for them. And hopefully they'll, be able to talk to them and learn something from them directly. And on their side, they get to see a fun performance. And it's, uplifting, which is kind of the whole point of the USO.
Totally. I love that. Yes, we have about a minute here left in this segment. So, last question I have for you, and once again, thank you so much for coming on, is are there any other tips that you would want to give some other small businesses that either have just started or are looking to, break into that, get past that 1 or 2 year mark and hopefully, get over that hump and hit the 10-year mark like you guys?
Well, it's always 10 years later, it's still lots and lots of work. So, it's obviously super tough at the beginning, but like I said earlier, marketing has always been the toughest thing for me. And as a nonprofit, we don't have a huge budget for, paid advertising options. So utilize what you can. We use social media, sending emails, making phone calls, all of those things don't cost anything, and they are really helpful. So, word of mouth, if people are happy with what you're doing, they're going to tell their friends.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Larisa,
thank you.
That's what it comes down to.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be back on This Week in Marketing, the AMA San Diego. This is on WSRadio.com. Thank you.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children, because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind.
Kinja Dixon was crowned the #1 sales executive through hard work, deep thinking, and the revelation of universal talk laws. He now wants to share these lessons with you. Universal talk laws are what you need to know and use in business and at home to have successful and effective conversations. Kinja Dixon shares his wisdom, action plans, and wealth. Each book comes with a chance to win $10,000. Find Universal Talk Laws at KinjaDixon.com.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of America's economy. Every Thursday, SBA Radio interviews industry professionals and is dedicated to provide small businesses with timely insights and innovations. Visit www.sbaradio.us for details.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to This Week in Marketing. I'm your host, Sam, and we have Kevin here in the studio.
Hello, hello.
We are going to be talking the rest of the show today about kind of how local companies can sort of improve their digital presence and some tips for that online piece that eludes a ton of businesses out there, whether it's just too daunting or it's just tough to understand, or basically some best practices to move forward. So before we do that, Kevin wanted to go over some of kind of like the major updates that have happened, because I think that's a good place to start, is kind of understanding what Google does, how they update their algorithm like multiple times a year. And, then we can kind of get into some of the best practices there. So Kevin works for a company called E2M, and they just put together an infographic about the different updates. So kind of, Kevin, why don't you walk us through, maybe we don't need to go through all of them, but kind of some of the important ones that happened last year.
Yeah. So we highlighted 8 of the big ones. Year after year, Google just changes their algorithms like crazy. And kind of the rule of SEO is you can never really fall too in love with your playbook, because as everyone in SEO knows, it can change in an instant, and then you might have to throw it away and completely start from scratch. So, a lot of the updates in terms of marketing, there was a few that really impacted people's strategies, and a lot that really just impacted search in general. Like the first one we outlined was on February 15th was the confirmed image search update, which essentially just got rid of the opportunity to see images right in Google. While Google confirmed this, the reasoning is still kind of a gray area, but many are thinking this is due to a legal dispute with Getty Images. So essentially what the change is searchers now, when they want to look at an image, they have to see the web page. And Google said it was so users could see images in the context of the web pages they are on. And for webmasters, this is great, and for business owners, because it encourages people to visit their websites.
Plus, people don't steal it's harder to steal the images to use your own,
exactly.
use on your own stuff too.
Yeah, so it was got kind of mixed reviews. Webmasters loved it, and I think a lot of searchers kind of saw it as more of a nuisance. And then the second one we outlined was the Brackets Core update, which took place on, as early as March 5th, but a lot of people felt the impacts on March 8th and 9th. And really it was just the continuing of Google's ongoing mission to just serve the best quality content to the search results. And Google's always placed a heavy emphasis on producing high quality content that improves the experience. And a lot of people think that this Bracket Core updates was more about content relevancy than quality. I mean, it was obviously about quality, but relevancy seemed to be at the core of this. That was the big one in the early part of March. And then the next one we outlined was the mobile first index rollout, which was essentially just Google is now indexing mobile sites before desktop sites, which I don't think it took anyone by surprise. Google searches on mobile they've outnumbered desktop searches since 2014, 2015. So, some might even say that this update was overdue.
Yeah. So what does that mean for somebody with a small WordPress website that they need to work on?
Yeah. So really it's just mobile first. I mean, it's in the name, like local business owners or any business owners really just need to prioritize the quality and the speed of their mobile site before the desktop site. But Google did, they said publicly on the Webmasters blog, and this is a quote here, "Mobile first indexing is about how we gather content, not about how content is ranked. Content gathered by mobile first indexing has no ranking advantage over mobile content that's not yet gathered this way or desktop content. Moreover, if you have desktop content, you will continue to be represented in our index. So it's really just, mobile sites are indexed first, but it doesn't have a huge impact on your rankings. So moving on, another interesting one was the snippet length drop. I think, so this was on desktop searches, the snippet length went from about 300 characters down to about 160.
Hold on a second. What is a snippet even?
The snippet, it's sort of like the meta description, just a little preview of a page. So I think the interesting thing about the snippet drop length was it came about 5 months after Google increased the snippet length.
Cool. So just for clarification here, there's a difference between like a featured snippet, right, in the search results, and then kind of your meta description of your results, right? So we're talking here about in your actual results, the length of copy that you can put in underneath your like listing, right?
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then the change, it makes the search results look a little bit different, but Google they advise webmasters not to spend too much time and effort on these snippets because many of the snippets are chosen based on their dynamic nature and are not always taken directly from the meta description.
Yeah, Google's publicly said they don't, it helped click-through rate, but it's not going to impact your rankings at all, which is really interesting too because, the title tag is really important, which we'll get into in the next segment here, but featured your actual like meta description is more like, we're so great, have a click through to get a deal or whatever, or like send your Valentine's Day gifts, blah, 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 blah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's interesting. And we'll talk a little bit more about all of the, like what the different parts of your listing is on Google for sure. For those of you that are a little bit confused at this point, but let's keep going because there's a couple more really good updates that happened towards the end of 2018.
Yeah. Well, this one happened in about the middle. The next one we're going to talk about here was the video carousels, which took place on June 14th. I don't think this surprised too many people on the web. Video's just been taken over the whole nature of online content. I think Zuckerberg went on record a few years ago saying that he believes that the majority of online content is going to be video in the next 3 to 5 years. Over the summer, it was Google just basically they replaced video thumbnails on desktop with carousel boxes for videos. Like, for example, if you want to know how to fix your iPad or, clean a camera lens, if you type that search into Google, you're going to get a video carousel. And most of these video carousels, they're prompted on the search results with searches related to, top 10 or any number, how to, best blank, however you want to do it. It was basically just so people could view videos without having to open an external video site like YouTube or Vimeo or whatever. That was the big one of the summer. And then moving on, the next one was the mobile speed update, which, again, I don't think it took anyone by surprise. The mobile speed update, it didn't have a huge impact across the marketing world. Essentially, it was really the sites that got impacted the most were just the absolute slowest mobile sites, and it was only based on a small number of queries. So we think that the mobile speed update was essentially just Google telling the super slow pokes on the mobile web just pick up the pace a little bit. And then the last one we have outlined is the notorious August 1st Medic Core update. I think we actually we did a segment related to that on EAT Score a few months back. And that was essentially the biggest impacts were seen by the Your Money, Your Life industries, finance, legal, health, and all that. Really just Google wanted to make sure that content served around those industries that impact people's lives and money was coming from just proven experts and people who had proven authority in the field.
Yeah, I think there's a good a good lesson there too for people that are kind of growing their own business too, is you want to be featured or you want links on places or you want to be associated with strong publications. You want make sure any write-ups you do show why you're qualified to be an author in the space. And just, I think it's kind of paving the way for more of like to reduce some of this like spammy the spammy black hat tactics.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, if you've got somebody calling you being like, we'll give you 5,000 links on these various blogs or blah, blah, blah. I mean, that type of stuff, if it's not relevant to your industry and if it's not on a real website, it's ultimately just going to end up hurting you, right? So, and especially on page too, if you've got something where, you're like a nutritionist or some sort of like consultant or something like that, you need to make sure like credentials are there and you've got, your Better Business Bureau, all of your like important information is on your website and easily accessible, right? I mean, that was even back in the day, if you like hide your phone number or like an email to contact you. I mean, Google has already said that that's like a big no-no, but this Your Money, Your Life update kind of hit, I think it impacted a lot of people, but it, like Kevin said, it hit the finance and health and nutraceuticals and all that stuff too.
Yeah, Google just doesn't want content coming from some nobody on how to invest in hedge funds or how to take up the keto diet. Like, you need to have a proven expertise in that field to be writing content like that.
Yeah, and there's also not to say that like you can't do that, right? I mean, if you want to start a website or you're just starting a business on something, right? It just doesn't mean that, okay, just because you don't have the background in it historically, you can't build up expertise in a space. You just need to make sure you're putting out strong content using like actual research and showing credentials and, citing your sources and all that stuff. I mean, Google's algorithm's smart enough to know when somebody's citing a source. We'll get back to this in a second. This is This Week in Marketing, AMA San Diego on WSRadio.com.
Take your smartphone almost everywhere you go. Now WSRadio.com can be there too. Search WS Radio in the Play Store for your Android devices or iTunes for Apple and download the WS Radio application. WSRadio.com on your phone and in your ear everywhere you go. Download the WS Radio application. Do it now. It's very easy. WSRadio.com.
On the internet, your business's reputation can be unjustly destroyed in an instant. Don't wait for that to happen. Building and marketing your 5-star reputation can increase your business by as much as 19%. Take control of your reputation and have the 5-star reputation you deserve with Reputation Marketing Solutions by DSI Development. Become the go-to company by visiting 5starrepmarketing.com. The number 5starrepmarketing.com.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goley, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to This Week in Marketing. This is a show about local, continuing our local series that we've had for the last few shows. We have about 9 minutes left total in the show, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about in 9 minutes. We just went through some of the updates that happened in 2018. I think some of the biggest things that a small business should worry about, especially a local business that relies on foot traffic, is the first is their search presence, right? Which is really, it's easy to be like, oh, have a good search profile, right? But it's harder to actually get that in reality, spend time doing it, making sure, you're doing it right, especially like from website crawlability, which, probably is a tough thing for a lot of sites. They just have a general small WordPress, just making sure Google can understand it, all the way to making sure you're targeting the right keywords and stuff like that. So we're going to go through a quick kind of guide to how to make sure the website is like set up properly. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about like foot traffic and, how to pick, if we have time, like how to pick, where to spend your money, which I'm not sure we will. The first is, I guess, Kevin, I have a question for you before we get started. As to what are some of like the major problems that, a lot of the small businesses that you guys work with have kind of run into?
Well, recently, just kind of going off of what we were talking about with the August 1st update, we have a lot of clients who are like, we really, really need to get in the 3-pack, in the San Diego 3-pack. I don't do a ton of SEO work. I mostly work on the content creation side, but I know that's been a major pain point for our SEO team. I'm wondering what has kind of been your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, that's kind of like
that's the gold standard. Everyone wants that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I want to be ranking number 1.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, me too. So yeah, the 3-pack, and that's kind of one of the first things we'll talk about here is like, what is the Google Map Pack and that type of thing. But before we start talking about that, I want to talk about a little bit about search intent. All right, so before you can understand what keywords that you want to rank for, you need to understand how is the user and why is the user searching for that specific keyword, right? So if you great example here is something that I came across a few days ago, and when I was talking with a potential client was. They like sell beef jerky, right? And they're like, oh, we have this new product. It's teriyaki beef jerky. We want to rank number 1 for the term teriyaki beef jerky, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Why don't you go ahead and do that search, right? And we did the search together, and I'm like, look, if you just type in teriyaki beef jerky, all of the results are recipes, right? And it's because the user doesn't want to buy teriyaki beef jerky. They want to make teriyaki beef jerky. And Google's metrics has kind of deduced that that's what people wanted when they searched for teriyaki beef jerky, right? Is they wanted to make it on their own, right? So that's kind of what I'm talking about with search intent, where like that might be the best keyword that they think they want to rank for, but using actually doing a local or searching for those terms to see like what are the results that are actually being there, right? And then so then I was like, all right, well, maybe we look for teriyaki beef jerky packets or teriyaki beef jerky sticks or some other form of that, right?
And like buy teriyaki beef jerky online.
Yeah, stuff. So exactly. So kind of making the intent a little bit more specific. And then obviously if if they wanted to get on that search, they could do a paid ad as well, right? But we're strictly talking about kind of the local ads here. And then the other thing is, looking for keywords that seem national but have a local intent. All right. So
what's an example of that?
So like flowers would be one. Or, if you type in something like gym, right? Google knows if you're typing in like workout gym or something like that, even though you don't specifically say San Diego, you are looking for a gym around you, right? So it's going to throw back a local map or the local pack of stores around you that could potentially satisfy your search, right? So, as a business, you want to look for, if somebody's coming to if you think about what somebody would type in to find your type of service, and almost look for keywords that have this local pack, right? Where, you have, like, for example, flower delivery, right? There's online retailers that have flower delivery that are huge, but then there's also a lot of local florists, right? So you type in flower delivery, you're going to get a mixture of local and national companies.
Interesting.
So, then once you have that, then you can kind of understand, all right, how is somebody searching? What's the search intent? And then you want to make sure you're making pages that are mimicking those pages that are already ranking first, right? So, for example, in the teriyaki beef jerky one, if you want to rank for that page, you're probably going to have to make a recipe, right? Maybe you could have a page about your recipe for that, stuff that you're selling, and then sell it kind of at the bottom. That could potentially work, but you want to make sure you're kind of mimicking the results that are already on, and then Google's already rewarding with free traffic.
And another interesting observation, I just Googled teriyaki beef jerky, and I'm seeing a lot of the top results. They've got rich snippet stars, which is very, very hard to get. I'm seeing most of the results on here. So I maybe want to switch gears a tiny bit just to talk about how local businesses can go about getting rich snippet stars.
Yeah, so that's part of the schema markup, which is a little bit more of like a technical SEO factor, but I think there might be some plugins on WordPress that you could use to kind of get that markup in there. Basically, it's an aggregate rating markup, I'm pretty sure, that basically people that are voting on your recipes or whatever,
interesting.
They have the stars, and it's like up, 1 to 5 or whatever it is. And it's done through, I think, a mixture of like your actual Google My Business listing for local stuff, but then, it's also like an aggregate rating schema markup that you basically say what is the aggregate rating, and then it will pop up in the SERP. So that's done on a ton of recipes, and a lot of other like businesses have that, especially for like products and flowers and a bunch of other stuff like that.
Interesting.
And so that's kind of into a good segment or segue here about what. When you decide, all right, I've got a page that I want to get on search or whatever, right? Or I've got a good term or whatever. You want to make sure that, you're not targeting too many keywords with the single page. So let's say you sell, going back to the gym example, let's say you have jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and wrestling and a bunch of other stuff like that. You want to make sure there's a different page for all of those, right? Because somebody typing in kickboxing class San Diego doesn't want to land on a page that's all about wrestling, right? So unless you've got it very clear in your like homepage that you offer all of those services, it's important that if you're targeting that specific term to have separate pages as well that Google can use to like rank for, right? And you can also include, there's a way. I guess we can talk about the Google My Business listing as well, but you just want to make sure that there's like separate pages for important like stuff. And then, you also want to make sure that you have your strong Google My Business listing, which is kind of an obvious thing nowadays, I feel like, but you just want to make sure there's like reviews on there, getting people to review you, and then also making sure you have the right information. So that's a really big thing across local is your NAP.
Right.
Which is name, address, phone number. You want to make sure that's all the same across everywhere to kind of show trust signals. Go ahead.
Yeah. Going off that, we've actually had a few clients we've worked with on getting their Google My Business listing up and getting local reviews. And sorry, I know we only have about 30 seconds left, but we found one of the biggest things we can do as a local business is when you send review invites, try and get reviews for the whole picture. Try and get people to list out their pros and cons, an overview of your product or service, because Google is really taking into account, the big picture. The 360-degree review has been playing a big factor in, getting rankings based on reviews.
Cool. Love that. That's it for today. Wow, that went by super quick. This is This Week in Marketing. on AMA San Diego, hosted by WSRadio.com. Thank y'all so much. Bye.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children. Because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Looking to be a successful entrepreneur? The virtual assistant industry continues to be a top choice for those looking to start their own business. The problem can be how to become a virtual assistant. Many turn to the Bible of the VA industry, the book Virtual Assistant the Series, and it's the perfect guide for office managers, executive assistants, and other administrative professionals looking to make the transition from employee to successful business owner. Go to vatheseries.com to get your copy today.
Hi, Scale listener. This is David Finkel, co-host with Jeff Hoffman of Scale Your Business. I wanted to let you know that our newest book, Scale, was just released, and to encourage you to get your copy. The book will give you 7 proven principles to grow your business and get your life back. Scale will help you work less by getting your business to produce more. Get your copy online or at your local bookseller. For more information, visit us online at scaleyourbusinesstoolkit.com.